This is Smoking Out the Closet. Now, here are your hosts.
Hi, I'm Rayven. I use she, her pronouns.
Hi, I'm Asmodeus. I use they, them pronouns.
And welcome back to another episode of
Smoking Out the Closet.
For those of you who are new or just joining us, we are a queer podcast.
Pun intended.
It talks about cannabis,
The LGBT community.
and everything in between.
And beyond.
So welcome.
Welcome.
While we have been away for officially 2 weeks now, I think this is the longest break we've ever taken on our show. And so before we get into the review of the strain you picked today,
Yes.
I just want to kind of do a little background thing. Noise may sound a little weird as we're trying to get a proper location in the new house that we're in for recording. Currently, we're in our bedroom right now.
But that is also why we've taken 2 weeks off from recording, because we were moving.
And we're still unpacking.
Yeah. We had to find the microphone just shortly before recording this.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a stressful time. But the weed helped.
Absolutely. This is interesting. I will say that much. I've heard everybody raving about this, and we finally got to pick up the Garcia handpicked. This is one of Strain's white labels. They're Holistic Farms growers.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the LA Baker strain, and I've heard this is the best out of the first two that came out.
Well,
now, as of recording this, there's another strain that just came out from them, and it's a hybrid. I can't remember what it is.
but did you say what the white label was?
Yeah, it's strain.
No, you said the parent company.
Yeah.
You didn't say.
Yeah, I did. I said it's Garcia handpicked.
Oh, I didn't register that. I'm sorry.
I said we finally got to try the Garcia handpicked, which is a white label from Strain. In case anyone else is just tuning in, we're going to go over this. It's the Garcia handpicked, which is a white label from Strain, which is Holistic Farms. And this is, it's okay, because this is making me feel kind of all weird sorts of ways. And maybe if I listen to the Grateful Dead now, I'll get it. Because this is, I don't know, what we were doing. Do you want to talk about what happened on the way onto recording this?
Yeah, sure.
So, do you want to go, let's go over the terpenes first. Let's do the formal things.
Mm-hmm.
So, we are looking at, oh my gosh, this label's weird.
There's THCA.
There we go. Okay, so THCA is 31.17%. And then we got CBG coming in at 0.28, CBGA at 2.18, CBCA at 0.26, which is something I rarely see. Limonene at 0.554, caryophyllene at 0.257, linalool at 0.259, myrcene actually at 0.441%. Everything else is like under 0.1%. But yeah, this is interesting.
And it has
Holistic Farms. There we go. That's what it was.
And it also has a QR code to view test results and everything. So I thought that was kind of cool.
There's a toll-free number on here, which is interesting. I don't know if we want to put that out here, but they also have their customer service number on here. They have all their information on here, which is really cool. But they also have like Jerry Garcia's guitar pick with his hand that's missing his right hand that's missing his middle finger. But yeah, no, maybe this is what they were smoking when they were writing the Grateful Dead stuff. Maybe now I'll get it. I don't know. I have another joint full of this. So maybe I actually will sit down and listen to some Dead when I'm not at work, because one of my coworkers really likes the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, some of my coworkers are really big in their Deadheads, and I'm just like, never been my cup of tea. Fish has never been my cup of tea either. I'm not a huge jam band girl.
I'm not a huge jam band person either, but like, I don't know. I think I like Fish maybe just a little bit more than like Grateful Dead. I like some of the weird stuff too, like the weird improvisational psychedelic rock.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to have drugs involved for something. There's something involved with that I don't know. This has a weird effect to it. I wouldn't quite call it medical, in my personal opinion, because it's just a weird feeling. I don't feel like it really leaves a lot of my anxiety, but it's definitely potent. I will tell you that much.
It definitely reminds me of like what I would hear about street weed.
Yeah.
Just kind of makes you giggly, kind of, and that's all it is. Like, this was specifically just making us giggly. Heck, we were making, I don't know what we were doing, if it was like a vocal stim or something, but we just did like this echo thing.
Yeah, and I don't quite know who started it, whether it was me or you, but it was just like we were talking in echoes, echoes, echoes.
And it was weird.
Kind of like this. But yeah, it was for like, I don't know how long we were doing
A
that.
good 5 minutes at least. What would you rate this?
That's a great question. I don't know. I'd say it's pretty good. It is pretty. It does kind of live up to the hype. It does definitely make you giggly if you're looking for like that. I feel like it does have an older school feel, which is what they're trying to go for. Well, like a 3.5.
3.5? Really? I thought you were gonna vote higher on that one.
I don't know. For maybe like.
Well, no. Do you seriously think it's a 3.5?
I like it a lot. I'm not gonna lie. It's nice. But I don't feel like this is something I'd go back to all the time. This would be like a special occasion, maybe, kind of a thing.
To be fair, we usually do also have a joint a piece when we do a review, which we didn't do this time.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to speed through, because I have to get up super early tomorrow for work.
Yeah.
So I am taking that into an account. So I'm giving it at least a 0.5% higher than I feel right now.
Okay, I feel like I'll do that as well. I'll take it to a 4 because I feel like, yeah, definitely if I had a little bit more, would last a little longer. Definitely is nice and uplifting and giggly. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if it would be something that I would go for all the time. Also, it does have a little bit of a higher price point. What did we buy this eighth at?
That's part of the reason why I am actually not gonna have it as a 4 is the price point. Let me
because Strain right now is doing some really great stuff in the medical market in PA, and this is their top of the line.
It's 50 for an eighth.
Yeah, so that's also why I would be like.
But it's also prime level though.
Yeah.
That's like prime and Cresco right now. Heck, Verano's Essence line is 45 for an 8. So I mean, it's kind of standard.
Yeah.
Honestly. It's the expensive strain flower. Probably because it's the label too,
Yeah.
So, I was going to give it a 3.8, but with it being $50, this is not terrible. It's not great, but I mean, people go after Cresco quite a bit, and I definitely think this is better than some Cresco flower we've had.
Oh, absolutely. The only thing I really feel like holds a candle to this is the Pineapple Express that I've had.
With Cresco?
With Cresco.
Yeah.
That's the best thing from Cresco, their flower-wise, that I have personally had. And this, I think, kind of... I can't say it oversteps it because Pineapple Express is for a different thing, a different level, a different feeling, right?
Yeah.
But this is definitely like something I would probably try to get again, but the price is, like you said, a drawback.
I'll give it a 4 out of 5 as well. Mostly just because I feel like I'm trying to compare it to Rhythms of White Durban, because I know that was something I gave a 4.2 on.
Yeah.
And it's not quite as good as that.
Yeah, no, I really like that White Durban too.
But it was close, so I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. So this will be certified Slapz, but just fucking barely certified Slapz.
Yeah.
It does need room for improvement, but to be fair, this is like one of the first batches that was outside of Liberty, which is Strain's grower dispensary.
Yeah.
And this was packaged 8/15/23, and we're doing this like almost a month later.
Yeah.
But I also have held this for at least 3 weeks, so it was pretty fast to come into my store.
Yeah.
After being cured. But yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about this?
I don't think so. Other than I do want to kind of use the rest of it and see if my theory about the Grateful Dead works. Because I don't know, just because it's Jerry Garcia. Like, come on, you gotta listen. I don't know, you gotta listen to the Dead.
Do you want to talk about the move next, or some of the news stuff that's happened over the last 2 weeks?
Oh, there's so much. I feel like I wanted to record last week, I'm not going to lie, because there was a lot going on news-wise, but I know we were still in the middle move-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about move-wise, and then we'll go into news.
Okay. I do want to be short with the move stuff, because there is a lot of news to get to. So not disclosing where we moved to, or where we moved from, but we are now in a different part of the Pittsburgh area.
Yes.
We are officially in a house with our partner, who's been on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think what else. It's nice. I like this house.
I never thought I would like being in a row house, but it is very nice. It's very cozy. It has high ceilings. It has personality.
Mm-hmm.
It was built in like 1905.
Yeah, the area we live in is relatively young for the Pittsburgh area.
Yeah.
Also, we were super worried about our neighbors because we're going from an apartment complex, which has a little bit more amenity, to a street, like houses on a street.
Like neighborhood situation.
Yeah, like small suburbs.
Yeah.
And it was very nice to realize that both of our neighbors also use weed.
We are in good company, and we fit. We just fit in. We fit well. You know? And I like this place. It's just, we have central air, which is so nice. Oh my goodness.
Because I didn't even think of that. It's going to be picked up on the microphone.
It'll be okay. But the last, I can't barely hear it, honestly. It's very quiet. Because I think they just installed this not that long ago. Gosh, that old place got so uncomfortable to sleep in when it was so hot out here. Mm-hmm. And it's been still as hot.
Yeah, we've hit 100 at least one of the days while we were here.
And you wouldn't be able to tell being inside. It's so quiet too. Like, you close the door, you can't hear anything outside.
Mm-hmm. Can't hear the neighbors either.
The only time you might hear is like the neighbors' dogs is when you're in the living room.
Or barely when you have the window open, the lawnmower going.
Yeah.
But no, it's been nice. All the people were nice.
Everybody's so nice.
Everyone was like making sure that we knew when trash day was, and offering help if we needed it.
Yeah.
It's very much, during this entire move, I had Mr. Rogers' neighborhood theme playing in my head because, well, I don't know if everyone knows this, but Mr. Rogers was from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And his neighborhood was based on the neighborhood he grew up in Pittsburgh. And I feel like where we live now, while it's not Squirrel Hill, I think is where he grew up.
Mm-hmm.
It is very kind of similar to that area. Very quiet. Not full of the hustle bustle from the city, but like a good tram ride, or it's not really a trolley, but like the tram or the little train ride into downtown.
It's like 15 minutes, I think.
I would say 20 if everyone's got to get off at all the stops.
Yeah.
Like they stop at every stop.
That's so much fun. I love riding the trolley.
It's fun doing it high. I'm not gonna lie.
It's so much fun.
I love doing it high. Is there anything else you want to add about the house before we get into news stuff?
No, I don't think so. I just hope we can get our studio situation figured out and set up.
I don't mind doing it in our bedroom.
I honestly don't either.
It's a little awkward, but we're kind of sitting on a bed instead of a couch, but it doesn't squeak when I move.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot quieter.
Yeah, so I'll see how the audio is.
Yeah, we'll see.
So in news, the first thing that happened while we were moving was, so earlier, I think it was late last year, or somewhere between late 2021 to early 2023. I can't fully remember right now. Joe Biden, the administration asked the Department of Health and Human Services, the HHS, and the DEA to look at potentially scheduling or descheduling cannabis in the United States on the federal level. Well, really dumb, but can't remember what day it was now. But at 4:20 in the afternoon, the head of the Department of Health and Human Services announced that they are sending a recommendation to the DEA to make cannabis Schedule 3.
At 4:20 in the afternoon. He knew what he was doing.
He knew, but that's the thing. He's not taking this serious. You know
No,
that.
yeah.
And he's just trying to stoners like 420. Here, let me try doing that without any context, like the freaking MSOs and all the, that come in and just being chads.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people, including John Fetterman here in PA, who, has been trying to get cannabis federally legal, thinking that this is a good move. It's not.
No.
It is not a great move. And so here's the thing. The question is, will the way states are going because of the amendment, the bill that the executive order that Obama put in, which is basically allowing medical states and recreational states to act the way they're doing without any federal intervention. This is where the question comes in. Will the dispensaries stay the way they are and be able to get tax write-offs and make it easier for small businesses to come up? Because that's a big thing because of 280E or 238E. I can't remember the IRS tax form, but it's basically the tax form for if you're selling illicit drugs that you still have to put your taxes on. Cannabis companies can't do that. They have to file that form, so they can't get tax write-offs.
Yeah.
So that comes the question. I want to say it's 238E. Now that I think about it. Anyway, will they still be able to do that? Be able to do tax write-offs? Small businesses are able to come up and make it a lot easier and everything to get started and stay there. Because that's the issue with social equity, is these people will get the permits and the licensing and everything, but can't stay afloat because they have to pay all these taxes and they can't get any way to lower it.
Yeah.
And that's what's killing them. Because that's a big question, first off. Second of all, and I think we had an episode before where we talked about how cannabis is scheduled, and we went over the scheduling, if I recall correctly. But a little refresher, cannabis is currently in Schedule 1. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to talk about 1 and 3 right now. So 1 is heroin, LSD, cannabis, and something else. I can't remember. I honestly can't remember.
It's not K2.
Peyote?
It's not K2, is it?
No. I think it's peyote.
I don't even know what that is.
It's another plant that's hallucinogenic.
Interesting.
But I definitely know it's on the same level as heroin and LSD. Which heroin makes sense. Cannabis and LSD? That seemed like it was politically motivated, Nixon and Reagan. But then you have Schedule 3, which, keep in mind, cannabis is worse than cocaine, methamphetamine. Methamphetamine, I think, is 3. Or no, 2. I think methamphetamine is Schedule 2.
Makes no sense.
I think Vicodin and Xanax and all that is Schedule 4 and 5. Yeah, which are way more addictive.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Schedule 3 is ketamine, testosterone, quote unquote cocaine based Adderall.
Yeah.
That's still, the things that hit that are very similar to cocaine. And something else I can't remember off the top of my head. But basically, that's where Schedule 3 would be, which will allow it to be federally legal, but still a super controlled substance. Can't grow your own. Everything's going to be going through a pharmacy now. You have to show your ID. It's going to be treated like when you go and get decongestants from the
Sudafed.
pharmacy, like Sudafed and that shit.
That stuff that's behind the counter.
Like, it's not going to be what everyone wants it to be, and wants it to be a free and full thing. Now, my personal opinion, and I've said this before, I want it to be on the same level as tomatoes.
Yes.
Just go out to the grocery store and get some. But I know they're not going to do that. So I'm kind of like, I will begrudgingly a little bit, but accept controlled substance level 2.
Mm-hmm.
Which me and my boss were talking about this a little bit the other day, and that's how I found out this level. So a CS2, or controlled substance number 2, is not a scheduled drug. It's totally descheduled, but it's still a controlled substance. It's basically alcohol and tobacco.
Yeah.
That's what these things are. And, that makes sense. I'm okay with that, because, inhalation of smoke can cause some issues still. It still kind of messes with the brain a little.
And brain development, so just age restrict it.
And, fine. Okay, cool. I understand. Put it in the same level as alcohol and tobacco. Cool. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
If there's or even lower than those two. Still control it, but not as strict.
Mm-hmm.
But, I would be okay with that.
And please retain the medical system.
Yes, please retain the medical system. But, yeah, Schedule 3 is not a good thing.
No. And there are so many people out there in the business that are celebrating this or cheering about it. And no, it's not good. And also the fact that if it would go into Schedule 3, there would be no more Budtenders.
Mm-hmm. It would have to be all pharmacy technicians.
And you better best believe that none of these MSOs that are in Pennsylvania are going to pay for all of these Budtenders to get pharmacy technician licenses.
Which means they're going to close.
Yeah. Or they're just going to have mass layoffs and try to hire, outsource,
mm-hmm.
and see if they can find people to do it cheaper than it would be to train and hire these people. Which is a terrifying thought.
Yeah. But then there's also the thing of the DEA. So this is all hypothetical based on if the DEA takes what the HHS says and runs with it.
And I've also heard that they have actually just then said nope before. This has happened before. So all of this that we're talking about right now is hypothetical. They have presented this before and they've just said, nah, we're not interested. So that might happen again. But what it seems like in the political world is it's not likely because there needs to be some sort of movement.
Mm-hmm. And also here's the other thing too, is the DEA could even just say their own research. This is hopeful, wishful, 100% wishful thinking. The DEA could be like, let's make it lower. Because they could say that. They could.
Yeah, they could.
Is it going to happen? Probably not with the way that, the DEA is currently running operations and everything. They're still very full of that reefer madness prohibition mentality.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And so was a lot of the HHS. So I think this was more of a begrudgingly them seeing the information, being like, okay, yeah, I guess there is some medical benefits. We'll just Schedule 3.
I'll just Band-Aid solution it.
Yeah.
Put a Band-Aid on a fucking cannonball wound.
And here's
given to the cannabis world.
And here's the thing, too, that I want to bring up. Joe Biden has the executive power to make the presidential power to make an executive order reversing pretty much what Nixon did. He can do that. I can understand not him kind of waiting till a little bit now because a lot of the House and the Senate was very Republican leading, and they just need 2/3 votes to basically say no.
Mm.
Now that we're getting a little more Democratic leading, he could probably do it. He just won't. And the biggest thing is, a lot of people forget Joe Biden is the reason why we have minimal sentencing with cannabis. Joe Biden was the one that was also helping Reagan make a lot of these anti-cannabis laws. And, wishful thinking he's learned,
Yeah.
but I really don't think it is. I think it's more just so he can get votes and shit. I don't think he really has changed.
So, because we're how far into his presidency, and he was talking about it, and what has he done?
Mm-hmm.
Actually.
And that's the thing that, like, irks me a little, too,
Yeah. God, don't even get me started with the student loan shit.
That one's more of a headache with lawsuits in
Oh
the
my
Supreme
God.
Court. That one is, I won't throw on him. But I will say, while we're talking about Joe Biden, someone did bring up on TikTok recently that Joe Biden is the most successful Republican we've had in years. And I'm like, well, shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Because everything he's doing is pretty much the big things of what Republicans were saying 10, 15 years ago that they wanted to do. He's pretty much doing what Mitt Romney wanted.
Yeah.
And freaking John McCain. He's hitting the borders harder with, like, drug stuff. He's making a lot of cutbacks and everything. Like, and then a lot of people think, like, oh, he's a Democrat. Yeah, but he's very central on the political spectrum. He's very, like, Republican but Democrat on paper kind of guy.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know what? You know what the great thing was? And I think this weed's kind of making me a little more of an activist right now.
Jerry Garcia.
It would also help if we had term limits, because some of these people in office don't even know what they're voting for anymore. And the fact that someone has come out and said that there's a lot of the people in our government that are on dementia medications.
That should be a disqualification for
Mhm.
public office. You cannot. You need to be of sound mind for these. Isn't it in the paperwork of, like, when you sign up for these political offices, you need to be of sound mind?
Yeah,
Dementia medication does not prove to me that you have a sound mind at all.
there's an amendment where you can be basically kicked out if you're found to not have, like, a sound mind. But it has to be voted on. It has to go through a committee and everything. And if everyone's buddy, it's not going to work.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
That should just be like an override button.
Well, checks and balances.
Yeah. Make sure everything comes out.
Yeah. That's the thing, is, like, it's not how it's working like it should either, though.
Yeah.
The whole system's corrupt. But I don't know. I will say, like, the whole HHS thing, do I think it's going to go anywhere? No. But it's not a good solution. It's really not. And I hate to burst anyone's bubble who is celebrating it and thinking, yeah, Schedule 3. No, we want it no schedule. We want to Schedule 0. Like, none on the scheduling at all. Because worst case, we're going to end up like Ohio or Canada.
I have had told patients about this, and they have no idea. And I need to just listen. You need to listen to the podcast. You need to write to, who do we write to? How can we make sure?
Your local officials, your congressperson, your senator, basically state level up. Spam everybody. Just do a copy and paste email of saying we don't want this, we want it descheduled, and you literally just change the name of who you're sending letters to and everything, and then just send it to everybody. And that goes for anything. Gay rights, cannabis right, descheduling, legalizing it, whatever.
Listen, I just sent a petition letter to get my student loans forgiven because this is taking too long with all the shit with the Supreme Court.
Well, we're at that time.
So it's time for the break.
Pretty in pink and purely wood pulp derived, Blazy Susan pink rolling papers and cones will add a pop of color to your next smoke sesh. Their classic pink papers are naturally dyed, vegan, GMO free, and food safe. They contain no amounts of heavy metals or pesticides unlike other paper producers. Care about what goes in your lungs with Blazy Susan papers and cones. Use promo code BGSOTC20 at checkout to get 20% off with your friends at Smoking Out the Closet. Plus, get free shipping on orders over $50 in the United States. And we are back. So I want to do this one real fast. It's not super news, so I frequent the PA medical marijuana subreddit quite a lot. And this one person with the name of Topher Collinsave, u/Topher Collinsave, made this post, notes from a Budtender. I can't speak for all dispensaries in PA, but I worked at 3 retail fronts and 2 grow facilities over the last 5 years, and they kind of just go like basically like, here's pretty much everything that's standard in the industry. Oh geez, the heck's going on with my computer? The expiration date in your card is almost insignificant. The date the card is printed is basically, we've talked about this before, is a week after you get your card most of the time, because you usually have a continuous problem with why you're using cannabis. So they just want to make sure you get most out of your card.
Yeah.
Every dispensary requires, in PA, requires to show your card before entry. Usually there's a camera near the doorbell that turns on when you push a button and feeds into the Budtender at the front desk. If a door doesn't open the first time, do not keep yanking. We are human beings with a reaction time much slower than the speed of light and your hand traveling on the doorknob. You cannot leave the dispensary without paying for anything you order. This means even if you use points, there has to be some kind of cash total of at least $1.
Yeah.
ATMs, if they are located in the dispensaries, are not properties of the dispensary. We are not responsible for the money distributed. Yes, we still use fraud markers on them and return them to you if we discover they are to be counterfeit, which that might have happened at their dispensary. It's never happened at mine, but it can happen technically.
I've heard stories of it happening, but like, I don't know. Why do people think that it's our? Why do people think it's our ATM?
I don't know. This also looks like it was updated a little bit. Similarly, the debit system is also third party. However, issues with debit systems are usually not with the reader, but with your bank.
Yes.
If your card is denied, it is because your bank has figured out the workaround for dispensaries are able to take debit and has decided to shut it off on their end. This is due to a large fact that banks deal with federal laws and cannabis is still federally illegal. As of 9/6/23, all debit is down across PA. That's not true. It's all the debit transactions that you give money back. If they are just immediately the same amount of PIN total and a fee, that's still a workaround in some dispensaries.
If they don't have a fee, some dispensaries do not have a fee to use their debit machine. It goes as a debit transaction. Your bank has figured out that is a dispensary that is charging your debit card. That is why it is being blocked. The ones that still have the fee are working as still technically as cashless ATMs, but you're not getting any money back, so it's not money laundering. Just full disclosure.
The industry in PA is going through a lot. Retail and grow facility size, experiencing layoffs and everything. No post-secondary education is required in this field, i.e. no certification. You do need to get certified with a state, but that's usually when you get hired. So, but you don't need a degree or take any courses or go through a trade school or anything like that. Swag, believe it or not, it is very limited in the amount of brand name swags that dispensaries go in. Dispensary workers can't give swag except for promotional events like 420 or 710. But most of the time, either in events like the cannabis festivals, or like if you just contact the company like we did with Terrapin,
Yeah.
sometimes they'll give you some swag. But yeah, dispensaries in PA, we can't just give stickers and shit with the products like other states can. You might be buying weed, but of course, I'm just kind of taking chunks of what this person said and just kind of going through it real fast for time's sake. But definitely, I will put this in the show notes. Definitely keep an eye out on this and read the whole thing because it's a very interesting read.
Yeah, I came across this while I was at work the other day.
You may be buying weed, but we're selling medicine. I like that one. Again,
Yes.
you may be buying weed, but we are selling medicine. Your item has to be properly labeled and leave with DOH informational slip, closed bag, and receipt. Any dispensary that does not do this is breaking DOH regulation. If your label is wrong, i.e., wrong name, wrong product, you need to reach back to the dispensary for proper labeling, or risk legal repercussions if pulled over. We've had a patient who had a label from a different dispensary. It was just 2 products that they bought that same day. The labels got swapped on it, and the cops yanked him out of the car and hurt him. Now, he sued the state and won, luckily, because the cops were in the wrong.
Yeah.
But that's still, give them the little amount. Don't give them any footing to do anything to you. You are on camera the minute you come into the parking lot, in some cases even before and after, depending on the angles of the camera and size of the lot and everything, especially the ones that are repurposed banks. There's a couple of them across PA, but the ones that are repurposed banks and stuff that already had cameras set up that need a lot of them, they're going to have it all over in a lot of different spots, even worse than some of the regular dispensaries. But yeah, you can get banned for doing shit wrong. Children 18 or younger are technically not allowed unless they are accompanied by their licensed caregiver. That one's kind of a gray area because as far as I've read, there's been no DOH rule against that. It's just we can't have minors in certain locations, i.e., the vaults, behind the sales floor, wherever cannabis is.
But there also have been, and they talk about, there
Yeah.
has been times where children have gotten into restricted areas due to
Mhm.
parent negligence. So if you cannot supervise or distract your child while they are with you, please don't bring them into
Yes.
our dispensaries.
And in the same vein, they say here, your mom, husband, personal aide, home nurse, etc., cannot come in unless they hold a caregiver card themselves or are also a patient. And then we understand that patients have physical disabilities and wheelchairs and everything. We're always happy to help, even me. I know some of my regulars. There's one guy in a wheelchair. He does not want us to hold the door for him. He'll let you down the first time very nicely, and then after that, he's going to yell at you. And he's like, no, I got it. I'm not totally disabled. I got it. He's very stubborn. I get it. I did it, especially after my brain injury. I get it. But, we still try helping him as best as we can. If you guys ever need a chair, don't hesitate to ask. We'll be more than happy to get you a chair or whatever to make it a more comfortable experience for you. And even if you're like, hey, I need to sit down and you don't really feel comfortable in the wheelie chairs, we have like stable waiting chairs. I'll grab one of those. I don't care. I'll pick the whole thing up and bring it into the area it doesn't belong and put it back when you're gone. Pets, only licensed service animals are allowed. And I'm glad that they brought this in because there is 2 questions per the ADA any facility is allowed to ask. Is if the animal is a service animal and what service does it provide. We're not allowed to ask any documentation. We're not allowed to ask basically like what the disability or anything it is. It just, is it a trained service animal and what service does it provide? But you can't have your pet. You can't just have your regular dog or whatever on the floor unless it's an actual service animal. Now, people can lie. We can't really verify one way or the other, but those are per the ADA and service animals industry, like the trainers and everything.
Yeah.
They even have it on their websites. That's what is allowed to be asked. Returns. Oh my god. Fucking
Oh,
returns.
Jesus.
Now, returns are very similar everywhere in the United States with cannabis. It has to be approved by the company that you bought it from, not just like the dispensary, the grower processor, because there's so many steps that like when a flower is like when their seed and everything is grown, that is assigned a number, and then at each step it transforms, and like when it transforms, it gets a new number, and that number has to be tracked. It can't just disappear because technically it's tracked with you.
Mhm.
If you buy the product, it is set with this batch has been bought, but like this batch, this one of the eighths of this batch has been bought by patient number whatever.
Yeah.
And that is assumed to be gone when you use it. If you return it, that has to be approved by the DOH, brought back into the system, be sent into like a quarantine area, and has to go back to the grower processor most times to get properly disposed of, which in most cases is just burned.
Yeah.
Pricing has been an issue. I will say, and this person does go to where the house brands are because usually they are cheaper.
Yeah.
For most people. But also a lot of company we are actually, I will say, a lot of people give PA a lot of guff because like they're comparing it to Colorado and California and the rest of the West Coast. For the East Coast, PA is pretty fucking cheap.
Yeah, honestly.
From everything I have seen and you have traveled to and everything, PA is cheap. Now, could it be cheaper? Oh yeah. But when you and me got into it and started this show, and even before when we first got into the medical program, it was way more expensive by at least $30.
It was crazy. I didn't buy flour for the longest time when I first got into the program because it was just so expensive.
Mm-hmm. New patients, basically they're just forms. Every time you go into a dispensary, if it's not under the same license, they don't have the information for, even if it's from the same company. Because of how licensing and everything works. So you may have to fill out a small form.
Yeah.
That's it. If it's your first time in a dispensary, it's going to be a little bit longer. But if it's like, oh, I went to X dispensary in Philly and I just moved out to Pittsburgh and I'm visiting the same company, 9 times out of 10, that license isn't going to be the same.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to fill out a small form. DOH has strict rules with both swag and informational material. This means in a lot of cases, the information on like terpenes, flower, brands, and everything can't leave our stores. It's something we hate it too. Yes, I agree.
Absolutely.
Because everything that is patient facing has to be approved by the DOH. It's like posters, pictures, paintings, everything. Even the display products have to be approved by the DOH. Now, some companies go a little more ham with this, and they will, will go through all the procedures. Some companies will just basically like, look, we're probably not going to get it. Let's just get the, what we can, that we know we can, and then try some more of the stuff. Believe it or not, dispensaries are secret shopped and audited by their own corporation and the DOH. We are not being sticklers for the rules because we want to. We legally have to. If a Budtender violates DOH code, that hurts the store and the individual employee. Enough mistakes can and will bar an employee from working in the industry again. That is true. Like take an example, the trochees that are starting to pop up in PA. Yes, they are very gummy-like. We can't say gummies. And when I try telling patients that all the time, like, look, they're not gummies. They're not made with gelatin. Trochees are technically lozenges with medicine in them. We can't. Because, like, and I tell patients this too, if someone in DOH is here and heard you say that, we can get shut down for the day. You couldn't pick up your products. It'll be to the nine, just a headache. Also, while I have a quick glance over, speaking of trochees, I forgot about this. Maitri just released 50 milligram trochees.
Oh my goodness.
It was previously capped at 10 milligrams, which some companies like Verano were doing. and I think G Leaf also had 10 milligrams.
Yeah.
And now My Tree got approval for 50 milligrams, so everyone's probably going to go up higher now.
Oh my goodness.
So that's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm going to take half of one of those.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to touch those ones at all. This is your thing. Do you want to do it on your phone or on the computer?
It's not on the computer. I can't remember what this is. I find so many things during just my random scrolling at work. And
I can't move the mouse far enough.
Well, here. It's fine. I'll just use your leg as a mouse pad. Okay. So I found this article from Marijuana Moment. New Jersey regulators announced new marijuana delivery, wholesaler, and distributor license with social equity businesses for the first to be able to apply. 1 second. New Jersey marijuana regulators have announced that they will begin accepting applications later this month for 3 additional license types, including cannabis delivery services.
That's cool.
Yeah, some other states already have cannabis delivery service that are and it's super freaking cool. The New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission said that applications for wholesalers, distributors, and delivery services will first open exclusively to social equity businesses starting September 27th. The process will then open up to diversely owned businesses on December 27th, and then they will be available to all prospective applicants beginning March 27th. I love this staggered start.
I do too, but here's my issue, and hopefully, I don't know what social equity system New Jersey has, but I recently learned that's been causing an issue with New York and why everything's getting delayed so far back, because somebody has been causing infighting. There's been a lot of infighting. So there was supposed to be social equity, and basically someone whispered in the disabled veteran group's ear saying, you guys should be first. You did all this. You should be one of the first ones, not these folks. And it caused a lot of infighting and caused this disabled veteran group to sue and just basically kibosh the entire thing.
Good grief.
So hopefully, knock on wood, New Jersey so far has been pretty good about it. But I would definitely like hopefully this won't be a repeat. But also, I don't remember what New Jersey's social equity program is. I'm going to assume it's people of color. You know, those who've been affected by the war on drugs and everything the most, and racial diversity. But then it said diversity program. So I'm like, is that like LGBT groups after that? Which, that's fine. But like, where does disabled veterans come into play? Because those are usually in social equity programs as well.
Yeah.
And then women-owned businesses, I'm guessing that'll be diversity as well.
Yeah, I would assume so.
So
anybody who's not a WASP.
Yeah. A WASP?
A white Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting that's the thing.
Or if you want, what's the newer updated one? There's
white ass shitty person.
Well, yeah. the whole cis white straight male. If you're not one of those, let's see here. It goes on to say, we're committed to fostering inclusivity, empowering local communities, and providing opportunities for those typically underrepresented who want to enter the cannabis industry. The New Jersey CRC chair, Diana Hyun, that is an interesting last name.
Pass. I'm not even.
I am so sorry. They will also be hosting a webinar on September 14th to help walk people through the new licensing types and the application process. That's good.
So 2 days after this episode's posted.
Yeah. Sweet.
We'll also be putting this link to the article, which has a link to the webinar in it if you guys want to read more about that.
They said the licensing development makes particular sense with the state now on the cusp of 50 operational cannabis retailers. It'll help New Jersey market best serve consumers better. Absolutely. And help, hopefully help diversity and small businesses. And that'll be cool. Next time we go to visit New Jersey, we can just get weed delivered to us.
Mm-hmm.
PA, take notes.
Okay, and then this last thing that's happened is, this is what I've been loving about the PA medical marijuana subreddit. Specifically, this doctor who I think is a certifying physician in the program, Jen Minkovich.
Minkovich, yeah.
Who highlights legal stuff going on. So on 9/6/23, the PA Medical Marijuana Advisory Board had a meeting, and I've already heard some shit about this at work. Like someone came out and go, so you have syrups now, and they're pretty much just sugar and cannabis. You have trochees, which are pretty much almost gummies.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Why do we not have edibles in this state? And they're like, no, those aren't edibles. Those aren't edibles. They're different. Those aren't edibles. No edibles. The DOH Office of Medical Marijuana will begin publishing aggregated data or data sets of program metrics on the medicalmarijuana.pa.gov website under program data. Currently, all of this is available. There are the program metric slides from previous board meetings, but more info will be available going forward. The Department of Revenue informed the Office of Medical Marijuana and the MMJ organizations that as of September 1st, 2023, all medical marijuana accessories, devices / paraphernalia are subject to sales and use tax, which has been kind of confusing for a lot of patients coming in and everything. And I've literally been warning everybody for the first 2 weeks. Literally the first day after I learned this was a thing, and you told me, I've been telling everybody, hey, sales tax on batteries. Sales tax on batteries. If it's not got weed in it, it's got sales tax.
Mm-hmm. Non-medicated items have sales tax.
Mm-hmm. No weed, taxed.
Mm-hmm.
This change will impact the industry and patients. Permittees were coached on the change and point of sales logistics. Please know that, basically what we said. If it's got weed in it, it's no taxed.
But you would think that they would fix their program to get their tax money that they want from the state. But guess what they didn't do?
They didn't fix it.
They didn't fix MJ, which everyone hopefully in the program knows that MJ is the system that the Pennsylvania Department of Medical Marijuana requires us to use to log all those numbers we were talking about earlier, to track all that weed, to say where it goes. But yet they didn't fix it to get the money that they wanted from us from the non-medicated items.
Current metrics, see slides below, which we'll go into. Discussion on edibles. Patient advocate Diana Briggs led yet another discussion on the topic of adding prepared food edibles on the list of approved consumption method in our program. She also raised with the board the fact that trochees were pretty darn close to being gummies or candies, and are already approved for sale by the DOH and are being sold safely in childproof containers and packaging that is not attractive to children. Trochees are lozenge or gummy type tablets. That's a little misleading. They're not gummies. I hate when people say they're gummies. They're not. It's fucking Pesitin. It's not gummies. Soft Ricola is made with Pesitin. I wouldn't call those fucking things gummies either.
No.
Different consistency. But they are meant to be held in the mouth and absorbed sublingually or buccally.
Buccally.
Given that adding edibles would not be a far stretch from what they already are.
Yeah.
I mean, true.
Very true.
Despite her unwavering persistence and efforts to be a voice of logic and reason on this topic, her proposal to make a formal recommendation to the legislature to add prepared food edibles to our program was voted down. Six
abstentions.
So no's?
No, they refused.
Abstained.
6 people they abstained. 3 did not vote, and 2 voted yes.
No, see, that's where I was reading wrong, because like it says no votes, making it look like they abstained. So it's 6 people didn't vote, 3 people said no, 2 people said yes.
Okay.
That's where I was getting confused, because the way it was written was weird. Notably, one board member opined that from the perspective of law enforcement, we are concerned that if we approve edibles, they will get into the wrong hands and they will get into children's hands.
You literally just said in the argument, did you not listen, that they are now being put into packaging that is not being appealing to children. We are not having this problem.
Mm-hmm. Also, people can legally make their own edibles here in PA, so your argument here is invalid, because if grandma makes her special brownies and the kids don't know it, guess what? They're going to eat it.
Yeah.
Let's see, how much time do we have left? Okay. The vote on the research committee's subcommittee's proposal to allow processors to remediate flour with solvent-based methods research presentation was given a topic by a representative from Organic Remedies at a previous meeting. This is kind of sketch. Was postponed to the next board meeting since some of the board members had lingering questions. The plan is to set up a meeting with Organic Remedies to get further clarification prior to the next vote. So, what this means is basically if the flower does not pass, for whatever reason, too much metal, too much pesticides, usually is why they don't fucking pass here in PA.
Yeah.
Organic Remedies wants to basically be like, oh, what we can do is we can put it in some alcohol to kill the stuff and it'll be safe then to consume. No, don't fucking use it, you jagoffs. So yeah, not super happy with Organic Remedies on that one.
Yikes.
You
guys were doing so good.
Right? A motion was made by the Regulatory Review Subcommittee to allow doctors of pediatric medicine or podiatrists to be eligible to approved practitioners in our program, but they would be strictly limited to certifying patients with the qualification of severe chronic pain. They would not be able to certify patients for any other reason since their medical scope of practice is very limiting. The motion was passed with 9 yeses, 1 no, and 1 abstaining. A formal report/recommendation will be subjected to required legislators, and the Secretary of Health will then have 1 year to approve it. One note, things weren't mentioned at this meeting. There was no updates on phase 3 of the medical marijuana program, which is very disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the phase 3 with the funds, like the pretty much like weed stamps card, it's still only for seniors, which is fine. I don't mind that, but please let's get it for like some of the folks who are very low income.
Yes, please.
Type of home grow comes up frequently. It's not within the preview of the medical advisory board. Their preview is described by Act 16. They cannot promulgate regulations outside their preview. Home grow is a legislative matter, which pretty much means senators and congressmen must do that. So there was the agenda. Okay, so from the beginning to July 23. Let me look at the time. Okay, I got a little bit.
Run through some numbers real quick.
There have been over, we're not going to give the exact numbers, but over 9,000 patients and caregivers have been registered in the state program.
Not 900.
900,000, sorry. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Over 400,000 active patient certifications. Almost, or over 1,800 approved practitioners. 34.4 million patient dispensing events, 97.8 million products dispensed, $8 billion in total sales, 4.9 billion by dispensaries, 3.1 billion by grower processors to dispensaries, and 178 dispensaries are in the state of Pennsylvania. Sorry, our cats are just kind of getting used to everything and moving around.
My spot.
So it looks like we, on average, hit about monthly dispensary sales. We're going around $120 million every month.
Holy cow.
And it's slowly going up. Okay, this is just, let's see. Price of wholesale for dry leaf, pricing in wholesale going down.
Nice.
This is just more agenda stuff. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much the medical committee and everything. That's all we had, though. Any notes you want to give about that before we leave for today's episode?
I don't know why we couldn't have got an update on the medical marijuana assistance program on the MMAP.
I just don't think it's on their. It's not on their prerogative for some reason, which is very sad.
Yeah.
Because they already approved everything. Why are they dragging their fucking feet on it?
Yeah.
But then again, it's PA. Look how long it took them to fucking get anywhere with unemployment with COVID.
Anything to do with the state and the state of Pennsylvania takes for fucking ever. They always drag their feet.
That's the government, though. Everything takes forever with any sort of government.
I was a ward of the state for the longest time. Anything I ever wanted to do, I had to get approval through them. If I wanted to go out of the state, if I wanted to, like... Yeah, it took for fucking ever.
Mm-hmm. Well, we missed you guys. I missed doing this.
I missed it too. It's
And-
nice to be back. Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
Same. But hopefully, shouldn't have any issues going forward.
We'll get back into the swing of things here.
We will. So once again, my name is Rayven. I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Asmodeus. I use they, them pronouns.
And we'll see you all in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye.